Hello and welcome back. And now we're going to do something quite exciting, and that is modern energy tapping. Now, modern energy tapping has an interesting developmental history which is quite in line with the developments in modern energy. I came across a method of tapping on meridian points in 1998. It was called EFT Emotional Freedom Techniques, and I thought, wow, finally here's something that can help get more people to understand that we have an energy body and it works, and when you actually do something with the energy body, then wonderful things can happen. I got involved in EFT at a very early stage of its development, and it was all good and happy, and I wrote lots of different patterns and techniques for EFT until it came to the point where I had a fundamental disagreement with the creator of EFT, Gary Craig, over the use of positives. As we've mentioned before, I came from the animal behavior research, which had shown that if you are increasing the love, better behavior results. And I already knew that we need to add positive energy to the system in order to get things done, to get things really moving in the right direction. I'd also at this point gotten extremely, this is 1999, I was very fed up with the SUD scale, which everybody was using, which goes from -10 to 0, and 0 emotions being, once again, the only thing that we are looking for in this old paradigm, where having no emotions at all is the best a man can get. This is the big fundamental problem with the old systems, in my opinion. This is the big fundamental problem, is this idea that exists in all these societies that having no emotions at all is a good thing. Now, here I have a real newsflash. It is not a good thing. 0 energy, 0 emotions is like having 0 food in the fridge, or 0 money in the bank, or 0 friends in your address book to call upon if you're having a problem. 0 is absolutely not the answer. And not only that, the sort of intelligence that resides at 0 to create structures and patterns is 0 intelligence. It's not insanity, which resides below 0, but it's still 0 intelligence. In order to really activate human intelligence, human abilities, the potential of human beings to really think and understand the world, we don't need to be doing our science at 0, we need to be doing it at +10. That is the only place where we have any chance at all to get towards some level of truth. Now, my work with positive emotions never went down very well with Gary Craig or anybody else who's in the sort of psychology mindset that has that SUD scale that ends at 0. And so in 2002 I decided, okay, there's no point in this, and I basically left the EFT community to do my own thing, which was the full-on research into EMO, energy in motion. In 2011 I was asked again, once more, afresh, to write a new, more energy-based EFT training. And I said, okay, I will do this, but only under one condition, and this condition is that we're going to do it properly this time. This tapping thing is an energy thing. We are tapping on meridian points, which are, energy lines in the body, and these points that somebody reckons are special points. And I'm not doing this unless I can go full on and create a version of this that is really energy based and energy focused. Now, if we're trying to move energy in the energy body by assisting with tapping on these meridian points, then we need to do some things to improve this whole system in such a way that it becomes not energy denying, but actually energy friendly. And when I was doing EFT with many, many clients back in the day, I had already identified numerous stumbling blocks to the smooth flowing or progress of a tapping session. And there were very many of them. So I engineered the energy EFT protocol, which was designed to improve energy flow. So the first thing that we did was we started with the heart position, which is quite wonderful in so many ways, because there's a beginning here. We can make our setup for the tapping session in the heart position, and we can also end it in the heart position, which gave the tapping a beginning, a middle and an end that was very helpful and stabilizing. So that was number one. Number two was to really teach people how to tap with energy in mind. A lot of people were just basically doing the old woodpecker, really hitting themselves really hard, and that's no way to do anything other than freak out your physical body and make your energy body go into a sort of an emergency state. We had to do something differently. We had to get people to understand that when they were touching a point, they weren't touching, their flesh with their flesh, but they were touching their energy body with their energy hands. What was very helpful was that we found that having the heart position to start with actually activates our energy hands. We start to feel them starting to tingle, and that's really helpful. And this was a little bonus really from doing the right thing there with the heart position. So when you start modern energy tapping with the heart position, your energy hands switch on and you're much more likely to actually get good movement in the energy system. The next thing that was absolutely of the essence was to start teaching people to tap really gently and lovingly. Remember, energy is love. And when we have that intention, energy goes and flows where attention goes. And when we have this attention of a loving change, a loving touch, then the whole experience becomes very different. So what we say to our people is, so just tap on the back of your hand, just very lightly, little taps, little pulses, and just notice how far you can feel that resonating up your arm and down your fingers. And when you're starting to actually get a sense of how that spreads out, how that travels, here we're directing our sixth sense, once again, on these physical sensations of energy flow in the body. These are little mini emotions, in fact, that we're creating here. These little waves and ripples. So once we've taught people how to do this, to tap with a loving touch, like you were touching a newborn baby, like really loving, like you would touch somebody that you were deeply in love with, that loving touch. When we teach somebody to tap with this loving touch, it changes the nature of the energy experience of the tapping session. That was number one. That was really important and made a lot of difference. Number two was, instead of using the SUD scale, which ends at 0, as the best a man can get, or a woman, we are of course using the modern energy chart, which ends not at 0 but at +10. And from EMO, Energy in Motion, we knew that the healing event was at +10, when the energy flow becomes as good as it can get for that person. So basically what we had here now was kind of a stairway to the stars, a ladder of success. Wherever the person was, we'll start out and we keep doing the tapping sequence and the tapping points until we go up, all the way up, and then eventually there's this threshold shift and there's the healing event. And we also said you don't have to manage that in one session. That's perfectly okay, as long as you know what you're working towards, which is this clear-cut healing event. All is well with the world. So you can explain this to the client and then you can work together until you get there. Now, that was lovely, and it made the whole tapping thing a whole lot more simple easy to explain, logical, reasonable, rational, but also a very much more pleasant experience for the practitioner and for the person who was being the client. And that was really nice. But as time went on, I noticed something, and that was that people were completely caught in this whole backward Freudian idea that we have to somehow get rid of all the negative events in our past in order to make any progress towards the future. This was so pronounced and so extreme, I was really astonished by it. I taught energy EFT to 197 people by distance learning all around the world. And they all had this opportunity to go forward into the high positives with another round of tapping. But they weren't really interested in that. They were just interested in the negative emotions and finding more and more and more trauma to, release the trauma. But what that doesn't do, it doesn't give you any forward momentum, any traction in your life. Now, from EMO, energy in motion, we know that energy needs to flow forward. And this is really what I call future orientation. It's a key feature of modern energy. Instead of endlessly digging in the past and endlessly trying to find more reasons for why something's not working right now, it is much more beneficial for people to actually think about the future, what they want to achieve, and then start thinking about how we're going to get there. What do we need to get there? In other words, to move forward rather than reversing back and getting stuck in the past yet again. There are many, many reasons for this. Now, we absolutely can and will deal with past issues, but only if they really present themselves, like a person who has post-traumatic flashbacks or bad dreams, or is absolutely like stuck and trapped in the past. Absolutely will work with that, because that's the indicator that we should be working with this. But everybody else who doesn't have traumatic flashbacks at all and is just going like, I wonder why I'm not successful. Let me see what traumas could be in my past. They're going backward into what I call the Freudian labyrinth of the past, of which there's really no escape. So a huge feature of modern energy tapping and energy EFT, as it was, is that future orientation. Now, energy EFT offered people the opportunity to either tap negatives, I'm distraught all the time, or to actually tap positives. If I had more confidence, then I wouldn't be so distraught all the time. So one would be to tap on I'm distraught, the other one would be to tap on I need more confidence. If you're trying to get to a +10 healing event, guess what gets you there faster? Obviously, tapping positives, adding positives to the system until there is the threshold shift, the healing event, the big, woohoo, I'm over this problem totally and absolutely, and it will never come back. So, as people were so reluctant to let go of the old Freudian trauma digging, I made the decision in 2017 that I was going to take away the option of even tapping on negatives. And that gives us modern energy tapping. So now we're literally actually just going straight in without any digging in the past. Somebody's saying like, I'm afraid all the time. Okay, so now we're not asking, so what happened in the past to cause you to be afraid all the time? Because that could be anything, it could be, and it's a question that we can ask for 45 years once a week in therapy, and our energy mind will produce a new answer every time, reliably, because it's a generator. So this person is afraid all the time, so we ask them, well, what would you need that you don't have at the moment? that would make a difference? What would stop you feeling afraid all the time? What would be the solution here? And the person would say, oh God, I would have to be a different person, a stronger person. I would have to be stronger. Okay, let's tap on that. Strong. I'm strong. I want to be a stronger person. I want to be a really strong person. I want to be strong in every fiber of my being. I want to be strong from the tip of my toes to the top of my head. I want to feel strength rushing through me, coursing through me. I don't know if you can sense that. But even without tapping, just saying those words, you can actually sense energy rising. And this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to move energy to the point where there is that breakthrough, that threshold shift, that healing event for that person. So now we've tapped our rounds with our good friend here, and we say to them, okay, so how do you feel now? And they're like, oh wow, it's like I've woken up all of a sudden. Oh, I feel so present, so real. It's amazing. Okay, and then we can ask, and what else do you need? So you're not afraid all the time anymore. And then the person can say something else. Well, I would have to have more faith in myself. Okay, let's tap on faith on myself. And instead of just sitting there and robotically like banging our tapping points and going faith, 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 we're doing proper, reactive, real world, modern energy tapping. I'm sorry, Faith, that hurt. So, we're tapping with attention. When I'm tapping this point, I want more faith in myself. We feel and sense, does that have an effect? Where do I feel that? I need more faith in myself. And I can feel energy shivers going all over the place, and especially up here in my head as I'm tapping this. And I'm learning something about my energy system. And all the while, as we're tapping here, and if we're tapping with a client, of course we're tapping together. All the while, our intention is to raise energy, to improve the energy flow, and to get this person to a point where they are having a threshold shift experience. So that is, in essence, modern energy tapping. We work absolutely with energy. We work on the principles of modern energy, which is that we need more love, more energy in order to get into better states, in order to feed our energy bodies better, in order to heal energy body wounds, and very importantly, to get our energy body to start to evolve. We're going to be using positives, and they're not one shoe fits all positives. We ask the person, what do you need right now to feel better? And people will be able to answer that question. As we're doing this, as we are working like that, we can also say to a person, okay, so the next time you're feeling not right at home, or you're noticing that you've dropped down on the modern energy chart, you need to learn to ask yourself, what do I need right now to become stronger? That's what is going to enable us to do the things we need to do in the real world in order to be successful and build better lives for ourselves.